to introduce yet another fabulous, really, how many more fabulous women can this event hold? Quite a few, it would appear. So the fabulous Noreen Makosewe is joining us from Kenya. And as CEO of the Radical Leap company, Noreen is a sought-after specialist helping SMEs launch, grow, and expand through competitive strategies, information systems, innovative technologies, and market expansion solutions. Through her network, she facilitates linkages that yield strategic partnerships, knowledge sharing, access to new markets, and investment opportunities. Noreen has over 12 years' experience working with senior leaders and business owners from a broad range of organisations across 6 continents. Whether delivering keynotes at conferences, giving talks to groups, or contributing on live panels, Noreen delivers research-based, real-world thought leadership to inspire change. Outside of business, Noreen's philanthropic passion projects focus on youth development, women's empowerment, and special needs children. She runs private one-to-one career and business mentoring for youths aged 21 to 25 in Kenya. Welcome, Noreen. Wonderful to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Katie. It's such an honor to be able to be part of this lovely community. I was just listening to the first half, and I'm so gutted that I didn't have enough space to take all the notes, but I'm glad that it's being recorded because there's so many nuggets shared. I'd like to acknowledge all the women who've spoken before me. So many life lessons, amazing things that even I'm taking away. Thank you, Roger and Katie. Thank you, Laura Murphy, for putting this together. I'm always very, I have a lot of respect for people who care for other people, because that is what we're here to do as human beings, is to remember that we're here to serve. And as we serve, then we are also rewarded for the service that we bring to humanity. So based on the request that was sent is to share our challenges, that what we've been through personally and professionally. And I'm going to tell you a little story about myself. It's not something that I've often talked about, but I thought this would be the right forum for it. One, because it's International Women's Day, and I also think that it will deliver the message that I'd really like to share today. So I was born and raised in Kenya. I was born in post-colonial Kenya after the Brits handed over the country back to the indigenous people. And my father worked for the local administration that was instilling governance within the country. And what that meant was his job required him to travel across the country quite a lot. So he was placed at different stations, and they would put together the administration, the governance, and he would be required to move to the next station. So that meant that as a little child, as a young girl, I lived in quite a number of cities in the country of Kenya. I can't even count them, but all I remember is we'd be put in lorries and a convoy of trucks and move to the next town. My mom was not going to be left behind in one place. She said, if my father is going, we're all going together. So I had a very nomadic childhood, and that nomadism has stayed with me until now. And I remember one particular experience. Post-colonial Kenya wasn't very stable. It was volatile in some places. And we lived in what is now one of the most beautiful islands in Kenya, called Lamu. And my father was the district commissioner at the time. But that particular part of the country was rife with shifter bandits, because there was land disputes, and the bandits wanted the land and the government wanted to make sure that the land was secure. And so we had to leave the island in a matter of, let me say, minutes. And all I remember was gunshots and being carried like a little sack of potatoes and tossed into a boat, because it was literally an island. We needed to get in a boat to get to the airstrip to get off the island. So those are the types of experiences I grew up with. I laugh about it now, but I'm sure when I was a child, my mother wasn't very amused to be moving from town to town. But that was the nature of the life that we lived. And it took a toll on my parents' relationship. They were friends in the beginning, but I think as time went on, it became really difficult to manage what was a very demanding job for my father, my mother being required to stay in traditional quote unquote stay-at-home mom mode when she was really an entrepreneur at heart. So I saw how in each town and in each city that we moved to, she always created her own community of women. The women would come together, they would have conversations and have tea, they talk to each other about opportunities, and my mother was always selling one thing or the other. So my entrepreneurial spirit comes from my mother, and I really appreciate her for it. I migrated from the nation of Kenya. I migrated from Kenya to the United Kingdom at the age of 17. So after my father's work within the administration, obviously Kenya got to a place of stability, and the governance at the time was no longer required at that level. So my father was eventually given a desk job within one of the ministries, and life became more stable. We settled in the city, the capital city of the country, Nairobi, went to school in Nairobi, primary school and then high school. And after high school, I left Kenya and I moved to the United Kingdom. Now that was the beginning of my nomadic adventure as a young adult. And I came into a country I'd never been to before. I was very curious. I was very excited to leave what I knew behind to explore this new opportunity of living in a completely different country, different culture. It was a bit of a culture shock, but I took it on the chin and I was really excited about it. And I remember I had enrolled at a college in Northwest London, College of Northwest London, and I enrolled to study information technology. Now, one of the things that I needed to do in the new country was to get a job, because students, you get a job, you look after yourself, and you supplement your the money that I had come with, which wasn't that much, and to supplement that with the money that I needed to earn. The challenge was, I was a 17-year-old in a new country. Every job required you to have experience. I think one of the previous speakers is in HR. 17, they wanted me to have at least 5 years experience, meaning I would probably have been a really young age to get that experience. I did not have the experience. They also wanted a reference. I had never had a job in the country. So let me say, the streak that I have in me, which I'm really grateful that I was created with, is stubborn and rebellious when it's required. And so I knew I need a job, I need experience, and I need a reference. And where am I going to get it from? I'm a young girl of a different race in a new country, and I've never tried to find a job. I'd have no experience and no idea how I'm going to get a job. But I lived in a nice neighborhood in North London, Neasden, and every week we'd get the local paper delivered through the letterbox. So I decided I'm going to look for a job. By hook or by crook, I'm going to look for a job. And so I scoured the paper, the paper one week, and I saw a post in the paper for advertising for opportunities for people to come and apply for a job. And if my father had known what job I was applying for, he would have had a heart attack because I lived a good life. My father did okay for himself. We didn't need anything. And I remember when I left Kenya, my father said to me, look, if it all goes to pot, you can get on a plane and come back home. You'll always have a place at home, okay? So don't go and suffer, don't go and struggle. But the streak in me wanted to make sure that I made it. So I saw this job in the paper, an article, and I remember waking up because I lived with a friend of mine who was in the same situation as myself. She was Kenyan, and we were sharing a house in Neasden. And she asked me, where are you going? It was very early in the morning, 6 o'clock. And I said, I'm going to look for a job. In fact, I'm going to come back with a job. And so I got on the bus and I went to one of a very lovely shopping center in North London, Northwest London. It was a good neighborhood, so it was a shopping center of affluent people. And I remember going to this place that had advertised for the job, and I walked in, and it was literally a car wash. Okay. So my father, like I said, he would have died if he knew that is what I was going to apply for. But I needed a reference and I needed a job. And I needed somebody to give me an opportunity. So I walk into this place and a man, I remember him very well. He was a Turkish man. He owned the car wash, really nice cars, sports cars, 4-wheel drives, really, it looked like a well-to-do place. I thought, okay, I think I'm going to get a job here. And he looked at me and he asked me, how can I help you? I said, I've come about the job that you posted in the paper. And he started laughing and he laughed. And he laughed and he laughed and he laughed. And I was staring at him deadpan. I asked him, why are you laughing? He said, girls don't work here. And I said, well, this girl is going to work here. And he laughed at me. And so the guys, because it was all males, the guys walked up to us and they asked him, who is this and what is going on? And he turned around and he said, this girl wants to work here. And the guy said, oh God, no, girls don't work here. And I said, I'd really like to work here. And they just stared at me. So I said to the owner of the car wash, I said, look, give me that 4-wheel drive. And give this guy, one of his workers, give him a 4-wheel drive, give us the same equipment. If I wash the car faster than him and cleaner than him, you give me the job. He said, okay, I'll do that. And so he gave it to an American guy. It was it was all students. I could see they were really young. I was 17 and they were quite young, and everybody was young in the place except the owner. And he gave him the car. He gave him a car. He gave me one of the cars. We got the same equipment, everything identical. Gave me gloves. And what worked in my favor was when I was in Kenya, one of the things my father used to do with us is wash the car with us. It was one of the ways we did bonding. And so I knew all the tricks of what you do first. You do the wheels first, and then you do everything else really quickly. So by the time the guy was rinsing his car, my car was done and I was drying it. And everybody was standing around watching us. And I remember this really clearly. And the man looked at me, he shook my hand and said, you have a job. So I went home, and the next day I came with my friend who was also female. And he says, oh my gosh, we're going to have this place overrun with women. But I was sharing that to share this with you, that there are certain things that we are created with, certain characteristics, certain ideas that we're created with. And the things that people would laugh at us, because of, they wouldn't expect us to do certain things, or they place us in certain boxes that restrict our growth. Those are the types of boxes I'm really against. Those are the things I rebel against. And my life has always been about breaking boxes and building tables for myself and for other people. And so that was the first job I had in the United Kingdom. I got my reference. I got my my experience. It was summertime when I got the job at this car wash. When winter hit, my friend and I knew that, no, your fingers are going to fall off. We need to leave now. We thanked him for the opportunity and we left. He wrote us a reference, and that was the beginning of us accessing the corporate market within the United Kingdom. And my friend and I, we talk about it until this day. We started off in a car wash. Nobody would expect that of us, but that was our opening to go into this foreign country. And my friend went on to work within investment banking, done really well for herself. I also went on to work in different corporate companies in hospitality and then within the investment banking sector. And I set up my consultancy, aptly named the Radical Leap Company, because that is what we do is I took leaps of faith myself. And what I do with the businesses that I work with is I help CEOs also take radical leaps within their business. But now our specialty is strategy, business technology, and market expansion. And when I worked in corporate, I set up my consultancy at the same time because I knew I had a very clear plan. I want to set up a business that's going to change lives. I don't want to work in corporate for too long because that has never been my dream. And I had a get out plan. I had an exit strategy, work in corporate by the age of 30, have enough money, invest in real estate, exit corporate, and do philanthropy because that is what I really wanted to do. But it didn't work out that way. At the age of 30, a betrayal happened within my personal life. I lost everything I had worked for. So I went to the UK, had worked really, really hard for many years. I was very meticulous with my money, very focused. I wasn't distracted, but everything that I had saved from the age of 17 until the age of 30 evaporated within one day. So I was now starting from not zero, but from negative, negative, negative. And so my life changed. My view of the world changed, but I needed to overcome this really dark space in my life. And that put me on the path of rebuilding tables for myself, because I knew that I needed to overcome this to become everything that I wanted to become. And I think one of the things that I love about the WayfinderWoman Trust is helping people overcome uncertainty, especially now with COVID-19. There's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people don't know what the next step is going to be. But I want to share with you that even through uncertainty, even through uncertainty, we can rebuild our lives. It might not look like what we expected it to look like, but it will be better. And the better is dependent on how we view life and how we approach the challenges that come our way. So fast forward, I lost everything, but I rebuilt again. It took me a long time, I won't lie. And through that whole process, there was a lot of stress involved. I got sick at some point, and Katie's a friend of mine, so she knows I've talked to her about some of the things that I've been through. And one of the lowest points of my life was a stress-related tumor that was found in my stomach by a doctor per chance. But it was a wake-up call for me. So I knew that I needed to rebuild my life in as stress-free as possible, which is not always the case. But I needed to create a life that I was proud of, but a life that I would enjoy no matter what came my way. And so that journey of rebuilding took me on a completely different path. I had to stay in corporate longer than I'd intended to. I wanted to exit corporate, be retired by 30, did not happen, but I stayed in corporate a little longer than I expected, and I rebuilt my life and I rebuilt my business. And then in October, between October and November 2016, I lost 4 close people, attended 3 funerals, and one of them was my sister. And that was the push that I needed. I just knew I couldn't do corporate anymore. I decided that I was going to take the radical leap, literally, and I left corporate and I decided to become the nomadic girl that I really am at heart. And I started to travel. I decided to travel. I always wanted to come back to Africa and do work and to change lives and to share the knowledge that I'd experienced in a different country, in the areas of technology, in business. And that led me on the path to setting up Female Founders Africa, which is an initiative under the Radical Leap company focused on building a pipeline of bankable women-owned businesses on the continent so they can compete on a global platform. And I wanted to share that, that little journey of mine where it was a mix of personal challenges as well as professional challenges. And just to remind you that it's not impossible to come out of some dark places. It's not impossible to overcome those challenges. It's hard. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to give you a motivational speaker's speech. It's not easy, and it will not always be easy, but it's not impossible. And the 3 things that I just want to end with and to share with you is you make a decision what the next season of your life is going to be like. I don't know what you're going through at the moment. You could be overcoming either financial hurdle, maybe looking at a different experience in business or in your professional life or in your personal life, but you make a decision of what that next season of your life is going to be like. I decided that the next season of my life, when I left the corporate world and decided to travel, the next season of my life, I was going to travel light and travel far. And when I left my corporate job, I decided to do an evaluation. I'm a minimalist. I actually believe I'm a minimalist. But when I decided to pack my flat and put things in storage, I did not realize how many vases I owned. I owned so many vases. There was vases in every room. I think I had like 15 vases. And I asked myself, what are you doing with all these things, Noreen? How many shoes can you wear? How many bags? I like bags, shoes. I like nice things. But what I decided to do was to lighten my load, my life load. And when I put my things in storage, I gave things away. Some things I gave away, some things I left in storage. But what it taught me was the less I carried through life, the easier it was to travel. And now I travel quite a lot. I've done work in different parts of the continent, East, Southern, West Africa, even the UK. And all of those experiences as a nomadic person makes it easy for me to do business across different continents and makes it easy for me to relate with different people. And so the three things that I'd just like to share is when you're choosing to challenge yourself, is to challenge yourself, and I do this for myself as well, is you challenge yourself to be more, to become more, to expand into this person that you know that you can become, to let go of the things that you know no longer serve you. They don't serve your business, they don't serve your team, they don't serve your family, they don't serve you as an individual. Is if you're looking to be more, you may have to leave some things behind, and you may have to streamline parts of your life. And letting go is not always easy, but if you're going to travel far, you have to let go so that you can be more, you can step into bigger shoes. And then the next thing I challenge myself is to earn more. I know a lot of people don't talk about money, but money is an important factor in the area of business, especially in the area of philanthropy. One of the things that I knew I did not want to do, and I know it's beneficial and we help businesses apply for funding and seek potential investment, but I wanted to be wealthy. I wanted to have enough to be able to bless other people. I want to have enough not to have to worry about my needs, my family's needs, and somebody who comes to me and say, Noreen, I really need your help. My child has not gone to school. And I wanted to earn more. So creating the opportunities for the income to come so that I can really make an impact in my community. And you can challenge yourself if that is something that you seek. And then the final part is to make a difference. Challenge yourself to make a difference wherever you are. You could be in a small space, a big space, a corporate company, an institution, it doesn't really matter, is to make a difference. I remember when I was 17, a mentor of mine asked me, Noreen, what do you want people to say about you when you're no longer in this planet, when you have left? And since then, until today, my answer has always been the same. I want people to say, that woman changed my life. And that's it in a nutshell. So every day I wake up, no matter what I do, any person I talk to, even if it's just for 5 minutes, I want them to say, I talked to that girl, I talked to that woman, she came into my business, she came into my family, and she changed my life. And that's really what I wanted to do today. I hope that what I've shared has inspired someone, made you laugh a little bit, maybe think about your life a little bit. But I just really wanted to share that with you. And thank you so much, Katie, for giving me the opportunity to be here and to choose to change together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Noreen. That was absolutely wonderful.